employees come in, but usually I leave the door open for them, and I didn't this morning. I locked it and waited for them to call me or knock, and then I let them in. Just different, just a different awareness.
But she's not surprised about the shootings in Buffalo. She says she experiences racism every day. She describes the last election cycle as a living hell.
I felt like it was just free reign, for anyone to say anything they want, and it was just whatever, So, to me, no, I'm not shocked by it. I experience it. Like I said, I experience it all the time. So, I'm not shocked.
Bishop Mario Williams and Pastor Henry Osby both minister to members of Binghamton's Black community. Williams says he remembers working with a local group, addressing issues of race and trying to foster community in the area.
It was very interesting because most of the people that live outside of the Binghamton area attended these meetings with us.
He says many of them were white and didn't know any people of color.
The only thing they know about African Americans is what they saw on television.
Osby says the fact that the alleged gunman was from so close by has caused fear among his congregation.
At the time was released to the custody of his parents and returned home. He was actually cleared and went back to school and participated in his high school graduation. There's a news report that neighbors were interviewed that even indicated that he had a graduation party at his house. So at that point, he was not a threat. The unfortunate thing is the New York State Police, school officials, and mental health professionals, now they don't have a crystal ball. They can't read into the future. They can only evaluate the subject on the information that they had at that time. And the investigation is focusing on what happened after that period of time to just about a year later when this past Saturday in the city of Buffalo. So again, that was a review of that indicated that the New York State Police followed up appropriately on what the school district advised them of. They properly transported the individual to Binghamton General Hospital for a mental health evaluation. At that point in time, he was found not to be dangerous at that time, and he was released to the custody of his family. Another issue that has been brought up, and I'll just touch upon it, is the red flag law of New York State, where individuals can apply to the court for what's called an extreme risk protection order, or an ERPO ruling. Now, this application can be made by anyone. It's a civil procedure, it's not a criminal procedure. It can be brought by a family member, a school official, a counselor, the police, the district attorney's office. Generally, it's brought by someone who indicates that they know the person, they're concerned about the person's well-being, and they've had contact with that, because that person or that party that brings the action has to go forward and prove it in court. And just like any other law, we've heard a lot about bail reform and discovery reform and all sorts of laws. The red flag law is just like any other law. As a prosecutor and district attorney of the county, I'm bound to follow that law, whether I really agree with it or not. For the court to issue this, proof has to be given to the court that the individual is dangerous at that point in time, that they're a risk of harm to themselves or to another person. Now, at that point in time, this defendant had been interviewed by a mental health professional who deemed him to be not dangerous or not at risk of harming himself or others at that particular time. So there would have been no basis for the hearing to go forward at that, because you had a professional medical person who evaluated him and found him not to be a risk at that time. Again, if during that evaluation the defendant was found to be dangerous, he would have then been committed to a state facility for further evaluation and treatment. There was no basis under the mental hygiene law to detain him at that point in time, and he was released. Now, if the laws need to be changed, I'm sure that the lawmakers in Albany will be looking closely at this case as a test case to see, do laws need to be expanded? Do they need to be changed? Does there need to be different protocol? Every agency involved in this investigation that I've talked to is obviously going to reevaluate the steps that were taken. However, again, He can't see into the future. Just like any defendant released on bail, there's no guarantee that they won't re-offend. He would have then been committed to a state facility for further evaluation and treatment. Person who evaluated him and found